Now to the rest of our stories. Akwa Ibom State Commissioner of Police Baba Azari has warned hoteliers and hospitality business in the state against harboring criminal elements, vowing to raid and shut down any establishment found culpable. This warning was issued in a statement by the Command's Public Relations Officer, DSP Timfon John, following a stakeholders meeting with representatives of the hospitality and tourism sector in Uyo. The meeting, convened by the Police Command, brought together key players including the Federation of Tourism Associations of Nigeria, Nigeria Hotels Association, Restaurant and Bars Association of Nigeria, Hotel Owners Association, Association of Professional Chefs of Nigeria, as well as the Hospitality Consultants and Managers Association of Nigeria and the Airport Taxi Association of Nigeria. Speaking during the session, Azari said the rising need for collaboration between law enforcement and the hospitality industry to combat crime, adding that intelligence reports had identified hotels and hostels as potential hideouts for criminals operating within the state. He urged hotel owners and managers to be vigilant, monitor the activities of the guests, and maintain accurate records of individuals checking into the facilities, and further highlighted the importance of early reporting, while advising stakeholders to alert the nearest police station upon noticing any suspicious activities or individuals rather than waiting until crimes are committed. National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control has shut down the infamous cemetery market in Aba, Abia State for the second time in 2 years. The agency said it uncovered and confiscated fake and substandard food and beverages worth over 5 billion naira in its latest operation tagged Operation Clean Up Aba. Aba has been described as a hub for Africa's largest counterfeit wine and beverage cartel. Cemetery Market has been notorious for producing fake alcoholic drinks, carbonated beverages, and food products. NAFDAC's Director General, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, in a statement she signed on Tuesday, described the raid as the most decisive action in the history of the market, adding that during the operation, over 214 makeshift factories were discovered producing counterfeit products under unsanitary conditions. Adeyeye revealed that these factories used harmful chemicals, contaminated water, and recycled bottles to manufacture fake versions of popular brands, including Hennessy, adding that over 1,500 cartons of fake products were destroyed on site, with the total street value of the seized and destroyed goods estimated at 5 billion naira. Police in Anambra State have recovered the lifeless body of an unidentified man who is suspected to have been shot by armed robbers. The man's body was seen lying by the roadside along the Onitsha-Owerri Expressway when residents of the area alerted police of the development. Spokesperson of the Anambra State Police Command, SP Tochukwu Ikenga, disclosed these in a statement in Awka while calling for identification of the body and collection by relatives. Ikenga said on the spot assessment of the body showed that the man was shot in the stomach. The command therefore seeks assistance from members of the public for possible identification of the victim and other information that will facilitate the ongoing investigative proceedings, while the body has been deposited in a morgue, awaiting identification by anyone who knows him. In line with the administration's zero tolerance for domestic and gender-based violence, the Enugu state government has ordered the arrest of a man, Mr. Sunday Echegi, who chopped off the hand of the wife, Mrs. Chinonso Loveth Echegi. The government has also moved the wife to a top hospital in the state capital for medical care. Commissioner for Children, Gender Affairs and Social Development, Mrs. Ngozi Ene. The suspect hails from Ibawa Ani in Nsukka local government area, had allegedly cut off the wife's hand following a quarrel. Meanwhile, this is a case the government is taking very seriously. The wife of the governor, Her Excellency, Mrs. Nkechinyere Mba, is personally on this gruesome matter and has vowed that justice must be served, while the commissioner warned Enugu residents to refrain from all manner of domestic and gender-based violence, as well as child abuse. as the Mba administration would never take such lying low. Well, this is coming after the Peter Mba administration had since inception waged war against gender-based violence and child abuse, with many arrested, investigated and undergoing trial for various such offences. Lagos State government has commenced the removal of stalls and shanties under Akwabuon Bridge and on the setback of Savage, Elegbata, Bombat, a drainage channel on Lagos Island. These followed the expiration of the 48-hour quit notice issued to the stall owners, raiders, last week. The Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokumbo Wahab, who made this known while speaking with newsmen at Ebute Ero, said the government will remove all the shanties impeding drainage channels in the best interest of all residents. The Commissioner also said the enforcement activities would include the removal of any extension that impedes public infrastructure within the drainage channels, stressing that any building not erected on drainage alignments will not be touched. The government had observed that most people were recalcitrant when it comes to obeying laws. As such, stall owners and traders who may be nursing plans of coming back to the cleared setbacks will not be allowed. The Commissioner also frowned at the behavior of a lot of contractors who are in the habit of dumping building materials on the constructed drains, thereby disrupting the free flow of storm water. Still in Lagos State House of Assembly says it is expecting former Speaker Mudashiru Obasa to resume into the House before it determines the next line of action, including a possible probe. The spokesperson for the House, Olukayode Ogundepe, disclosed these at the Assembly complex in Alausa, Ikeja, said the lawmakers had last week removed Obasa, citing among other things corruption allegations. But Obasa, who spoke publicly on the matter last Saturday, dismissed the corruption allegation raised by the lawmakers, insisting that they remain the authentic speaker. The former speaker was removed by a majority of the lawmakers in January 13, 2025, following allegations of misconduct and financial misappropriations, and was replaced by the former Deputy Speaker of the House, Mojisola Merenda. Chief Magistrate Court has adjourned until March 24, 2025 to hear the case of former wife of the Oni of Ife, Naomi Silekunola, the chairman of an Ibadan-based broadcasting station, Oriyomi Hamzat, and a principal of Islamic High School, Basorun, Abdullahib Fasasi, before the court in Ibadan, Oyo State. The trial faced 4 counts bordering on conspiracy, murder, manslaughter, and negligence in connection with the deaths of 35 children during a stampede at a Christmas fun fair held in December 18, 2024. Previously, they were held on a holding charge by the same court, but were granted bail on legal grounds after the council argued that a holding charge is neither recognized nor valid under Nigerian law. Speaking with journalist Hamzat's counsel, Dakbo Akinosi, said it was actually slated for mention because when they were arraigned initially, it was on a charge which is not recognized by the law and were remanded in prison as a result of that charge. Ogun State Internal Revenue Service has promised continuous synergy with third-party insurance companies for efficient service delivery and optimal productivity. The chairman of Ogun State Internal Revenue Service, Mr. Olubenga Olalaye, gave the assurance during a meeting with the representatives of third-party insurance brokers and underwriters at Ogea's conference room, Okemosan, Abeokuta. He said Ogea's had created a system to flush out quacks in the insurance as well as block loopholes in the issuance of documents, and the government has brought the scheme that will be of benefit to taxpayers. He consequently encouraged taxpayers to embrace the scheme as it guarantees cover and eventualities occur, and advised the companies to brainstorm and choose a new leadership that will take over as the lead insurer since they are signing another contract. In her remarks, the director of the taxes, Mrs. Oluyomi Dawudu, said it is expected of every car owner, either private or commercial, to obtain valid insurance documents while stressing on the licenses, proof of ownership certificate, among others. She also stressed that the essence of the meeting with the companies was the renewal of another contract term with the OGS and for them to choose the leading insurer who would relate with the agency. Responding, Coordinator in Third-Party Insurance Southwest, Dr. Moses Akinyula, and lead broker Mr. Abayomi Babalola avowed that the era of misinformation about the scheme is over and also advised car owners to visit any of the OGS licensing office to get the papers issued in order to lay claims whenever the needs arises. Ekiti State government has begun mass vaccination of livestock across the state to protect animals from zoonotic diseases including anthrax. The State Commissioner for Agriculture, Ebenezer Boluwade, on Tuesday said the vaccination was being held under the auspices of the Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support Project, a project of the World Bank in conjunction with the state government. Hajibayo along Igede, Aramoko Road, Aramoko, Ekiti during the official flag-off of the anthrax for vaccination in Ekiti State. Described the exercise as a proactive measure to prevent the spread of anthrax disease, which can have devastating consequences on our livestock, population, and the economy. He stressed the state government's commitment to protecting livestock and ensuring that citizens have access to safe and healthy food. Adding that the state government, through L-Press, had made available 100,000 doses of anthrax vaccines to be administered free of charge to animals across the 16 local government areas of the state. Deeply committed to using agriculture as a catalyst for industrialization, food security and economic prosperity, while assuring to also implement the various initiatives to transform agriculture from its current mainly subsistence to large-scale commercial enterprise. This command has formally received 112 newly passed out police constables who recently completed training at the Police Training School, Niger State. A statement issued by the Police Public Relations Officer of the command, SP Josephine Adair, said the officers are part of the 10,000 recruits who successfully passed out on 23rd January 2025. Said the FCT Commissioner of Police, CP Olatunji Disu, expressed his appreciation to the Inspector General of Police for deploying them to the command. CP Disu said the addition of these officers would significantly bolster the command's capacity to enhance public safety and security across the nation's capital and charged the officers to uphold professionalism, integrity, and discipline in the discharge of the duties. He emphasized that their critical role in safeguarding lives and property within the territory while adhering to international best practices in policing. As part of the integration, the Commissioner announced that the new officers would embark on a 2-week break before undergoing a specialized retraining program. Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, says the deadly explosion in Sabumpegi, located in the Mashegu local government area of Niger State, which resulted in the tragic deaths of 3 individuals and the destruction of 40 houses, was caused by the illegal stockpiling of explosives by a resident, Yushua Meikampala. According to a statement issued by the Minister's Special Assistant on Media, Shegun Tomori, Meikampala's unauthorized accumulation of the dangerous materials was the direct trigger for the incident. The statement pointed out that the resident is believed to have been involved in purchasing and storing explosives as the accessories in a house in the area following a preliminary investigations. It also indicated that the minister on Sunday dispatched officials of the Federal Mines Office in the state to the blast site for an on-the-spot assessment. This coming after the tragic incident, with local resident Ibrahim Mustafa confirming that more than 40 people were impacted by the explosion that devastated the residential area, while witnesses said the explosion was triggered by an electrical spark around 7 a.m. on Sunday, destroying the building where the explosives were stored and other houses. The minister, reacting to the incident, expressed his condolences to the victims and affected families and described the incident as avoidable given the negligence surrounding the handling and illegal storage of explosives by the alleged culprit, adding that the federal government remains committed to ensuring that mining operators adhere to strict environmental and safety standards to avert a recurrence of the unfortunate incident. Troops of the 1st Brigade of the Joint Task Force Operation Fasten Yama, in collaboration with operatives of the Department of State Services, have intercepted a large cache of arms in Zamfara State. The operation was carried out in Kaura Namoda local government area following intelligence on the activities of suspected arms dealers linked to the Niger Republic. I beg your pardon. A statement issued on Tuesday by the Coordinator Joint Media Center Operation Fasten Yama, Lieutenant Colonel Abubakar Abdullahi, said the operation conducted on January 27, 2025 was based on actionable intelligence. Meanwhile, troops are intensifying efforts to capture a notorious terrorist, Bello Toji, who has evaded arrest by frequently relocating his hideouts. Security forces have assured the public of their determination to track and apprehend Toji, emphasizing their commitment to restoring peace and stability in Zamfara surrounding areas. National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, Katsina State Council, has warned the state government threatening to withdraw its members from frontline local government areas due to unresolved security and welfare issues. The association also threatened to embark on an indefinite strike should the government refuse to address its demands by the end of the two-day warning strike. The warning strike starts on Thursday, January 30, 2025. The frontline LGs include Batsari, Funtua, Malnufashi, Kankara, Kurfi in Katsina State. A series of foreign scholarships awarded by the Bauchi State government will soon deport for China. The permanent commissioner of the Bauchi State Scholarship Board, Hussaini Saraki, made this known, said, "The development has put the state as a front runner among northeast states, including Adamawa, Yobe, and Borno, in awarding scholarships to students for studies, particularly in China." He said the state government's commitments to advancing education and global opportunities for its youths, adding that the next contingent of students proceeding to China on scholarship are processing the documents. Sultanate Council of Sokoto has directed the Muslim Ummah to look out for the new moon of Sha'aban 1446 AH on Wednesday, January 29, 2025, corresponding to the 29th day of Rajab 1446 AH in the Islamic calendar. A statement signed by Professor Sambo Junaidu, the Waziri of Sokoto, of the Advisory Committee on Religious Affairs, and report any sightings to the nearest district or village head. The reports are to the stressing that Sha'aban is the month preceding Ramadan, the holy month of fasting. The declaration of the new moon marks the start of Sha'aban and aids Muslims in preparing for Ramadan. The statement concluded with a prayer, "May Allah SWT help us in the discharge of this religious duty. Amen." This declaration reflects the Sultanate Council's traditional role in issuing moon sighting declarations, which guide Muslims in adhering to Islamic teachings and religious observances. And the Muslim community is encouraged to stay updated through local religious leaders and official Sultanate Council announcements. Jigawa State government has approved 4.8 billion naira for its 2025 Ramadan feeding program aimed at supporting vulnerable residents during the holy month. This was disclosed by the Commissioner for Information, Mr. Sagir Musa, during a press briefing following the State Executive Council meeting held at the Government House, Dutsay. According to Musa, the program will be jointly financed, the state contributing 55% of the funds. The number of feeding centers has increased from 609 last year to 630, with each center providing 3 different meals per person. That the council has approved a full package of 3 meals per individual, including kunu, kosei, and jollof rice, with provisions for 300 beneficiaries per center. You're watching the Global News in Atlantic Television Network. We'll go on a short break. When we return, Global News continues. Just stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. And out to the rest of our story. Vice President Kashim Shettima has assured Nigerians that the current administration of President Bola Tinubu will continue to improve the values of the democratic systems by fixing major weakness of the economy, securing communities, fighting corruption, and strengthening the independence of the judiciary and improving national cohesion. Shettima stated these in Abuja at the National Conference on Strengthening Democracy in Nigeria with the theme, Strengthening Nigeria's Democracy, Pathways to Good Governance and Political Integrity, organized by the African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development. Analysts say leaders have an exceptionally demanding role among politicians considering Nigeria's large population that comes with high expectation from citizens. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program Atlantic Blowout, a public policy analyst, Young Ayo Tamuno, presidential candidates should prioritize assessing their health to ensure they are physically capable of handling the demands of the role.
Yes.
And the expectations of the people towards governments is also very high, and so we expect that anybody who aspires, becomes a candidate and wins the election, of becoming a president, must also first examine himself, examine his health to see how fit and proper that person is in terms of health.
Okay.
So health is a major part of but again, as nature will have it, you can't take you may not be able to predict what could happen in the life of a particular president.
Okay.
When he came in, he took ill, and at some point, they said this is a Jubilee of Sudan. All kinds of narratives were in the public domain. And one sympathizes with him because he can't be alive and people are saying this is fabricating.
On the other hand, a public affairs analyst, Mufasa A. Musa, congratulates former President Muhammadu Buhari on his recent health improvement.
As head of state in 1982 or thereabouts, and he was eager to come back. Perhaps, I'm sure he must have understood the exigencies of office and the pressure that will accompany that office. So for me, I think coming to tell us today that he feels better and all of that, it's just a way to tell Nigerians that if I had known, I would not have ventured into that.
This is coming after the former President Muhammadu Buhari said his health has improved, adding that he looks better since leaving office in 2023. Analyst claims the Ijaw National Congress is misled about the true Ohanaeze Ndigbo organization. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program Open Conversation, political analyst Nze O. Nze said the authentic Ohanaeze Ndigbo, led by Senator John Mbata, wouldn't interfere in River State politics.
In Enugu, while election was going on in Enugu, there was a group of people, I think I will call them stage managed Ohanaeze.
All right.
The stage managed Ohanaeze, they just, carve out themselves, went somewhere and did what they did, kangaroo election like that. Whereas Ohanaeze Ndigbo is a well-respected body. That is a socio-political, socio-cultural organization, backing the entire Igbo race all over the world.
Right.
And anybody who speaks down on that organization speaks down on Igbo people. And that I don't think there is anybody in this planet that will speak against Igbos and have his way through. So for me, the IOIC is INC is really mistaking the true Ohanaeze. So to put this the facts straight, it is not Ohanaeze Ndigbo. It is just a group of persons who want to fight against the emergence of the revered President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo worldwide, distinguished Senator Azota Mbata. It is just people who want to see how they can discredit him that went to organize themselves, and they will come. In fact, I challenge the law enforcement agencies to pick
law enforcement agencies to identify and stop impersonators to prevent damage to the Ohaneze Ndibo organization. This is coming after the Ijaw National Congress has urged Ohaneze Ndibo to refrain from provocative statements that could heat up the polity in Rivers State. Activist and former presidential candidate Omoyole Sowore has been detained at the IRT detention facility at Abatoy in Abuja after rejecting the bail conditions set for his release. Sowore, who was taken away in police van with heavily armed personnel at around 5 p.m. on Monday, had earlier deemed the bail conditions outrageous and demanded either an unconditional release or a release on self-recognition. Sowore's lawyer Deji Adeyanju, accompanied by Marshal Abubakar, explained that Sowore was required to provide a level 17 civil servant, such as a permanent secretary, as a guarantor for his release, adding that the police demanded that Sowore surrendered his passport, which Adeyanju described as an excessive condition, especially considering that Sowore had voluntarily responded to the police invitation. Pan-Yoruba Socio-Cultural and Socio-Political Organization, Afenifere, has condemned legal luminary Are Afeba Balola SAN on agreeing to withdraw the defamation cases instituted against human rights activist and lawyer Dele Farotimi. Afenifere gave the commendation while dissecting the matter between Babalola and Farotimi that had been looked in a legal battle since last year, following Babalola's complaints that Farotimi defamed him in a book titled Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. Following Babalola's petition, the police had arrested Farotimi and arraigned him before 2 courts in Ekiti. And consequently, Farotimi was charged with criminal defamation before the Ekiti State Magistrates Court in Ado-Ekiti. He was also arraigned for allegedly cyberbullying before the Federal High Court in Ado-Ekiti. And now we move on to business news. Petroleum products marketers had expressed fears that the instability in the prices of premium motor spirits petrol may lead to an epileptic PMS supply. In filling stations, the marketers say though fuel scarcity may not exist due to local refining capacity, filling stations owners are now hesitant to lift the product from depots. National Publicity Secretary of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Chinedu Ukadike, said the traders lose billions of naira whenever the prices of petroleum products like PMS and diesel are reduced, adding that the Dangote refinery entered the market in early 2024 and crashed the price of diesel, forcing marketers to sell below the cost of purchase and running into huge debts. According to him, there is enough supply of petrol at the Dangote refinery and the depots of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, but many filling stations are scared of buying it due to the sudden price change. Speaking on the plans of some marketers to import PMS because it is relatively cheaper than buying locally, the national president of the Petroleum Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, Billy Gilly Harris, said the association had decided to stop fuel importation to boost local refining capacity. He called on the government to support retail outlet owners with single-digit interest loans in order to prevent job losses. Nigerian Stock Exchange experienced a surge of 795 billion naira in market capitalization on the first trading day of the week, bringing the total market capitalization to 64.44 trillion naira. The all-share index increased by 0.79%, gaining 820.65 points to close at 104 million 104,418.95. This represents a one-week gain of 2% and a four-week gain of 2.24%. The market's breadth closed positive as 38 equities gained while 30 equities declined in share prices. In terms of volume, Access Holdings record the highest trading volume with 51 million shares, followed by FCMB Group with 40.3 million shares, Sterling Bank with 38.9 million shares, and Zenith Bank with 33.2 million shares. The banking index saw a significant rise of 4.71%, while the pension index increased by 2.1%, and the consumer goods index rose by 1.74%. Well, moving on now is we'll take a look at the international tidbits. U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order aimed at eliminating what he referred to as transgender ideology from the military, marking a significant step back for LGBTQ rights. During a series of military-related announcements abroad about Air Force One, Trump also called for the deployment of a U.S. equivalent of Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system. The executive orders reinstated service members who had been dismissed for refusing the COVID-19 vaccine and expanded efforts to eliminate diversity programs within the armed forces. Trump, who previously implemented a ban on transgender troops, reiterated his opposition to recognizing gender diversity. In his order, he claimed that the military had been afflicted with radical gender ideology to appease activists and argued that many mental and physical health conditions are incompatible with active duty, adding that the steps aimed at adopting a gender identity is inconsistent with one's sex conflicts with a soldier's commitment to truthful and disciplined lifestyle, even in personal life. Court in Istanbul has arrested a talent manager for allegedly attempting to overthrow the government in connection with the 2013 Gezi protest. IC Barim was detained, and a number of actors and actresses whom she represented were summoned to police to give testimony. Barim is accused of having motivated the artists she represents to join the anti-government protesters packed in Gezi Park in central Istanbul. Barim denied the charges and said she went to the protest in 2013 once or twice, but did not encourage anyone to take part. Local media quoted her saying to the prosecutor, "The largely peaceful protest in early summer 2013 against the shopping mall construction in Istanbul's Gezi Park turned into nationwide demonstrations, and the government responded with a harsh crackdown and labeled the protest as an attempted coup." Barim is also accused of close contact with Gezi trial defendants, including philanthropist Osman Kavala, while the human rights organizations criticized the Turkish government for politically manipulating the Gezi trial. Here now is ATN Sports News. Victor Boniface is missing from Bayer Leverkusen training today amid talks over a possible move to Al Nassr. The Saudi Pro League club is looking to bring in Boniface to replace Anderson Talisca. Talisca has flown to Istanbul to sign for Fenerbahce, and talks between Al Nassr and Leverkusen are now progressing to strike a deal. Boniface only signed a contract extension with the Bundesliga champions until 2026 last week. The deal makes the Super Eagles forward one of the top earners at Leverkusen despite renewing his contract. The 24-year-old is, however, not considered unsellable by the Bundesliga champions. Leverkusen will demand at least 50 million euros from interested suitors. Ugandan head coach Paul Puig has acknowledged the strength of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. The Cranes have drawn in Group C of the 2025 African Cup of Nations with Nigeria, Tunisia and Tanzania. The East Africans defeated the Super Eagles 2-1 in the only meeting in the competition at the 1978 edition hosted by Ghana, while Paul admitted that his team will need self-belief to pull through in the group. Tanzania will face the Super Eagles in the last group game in Fez on Tuesday, December 30th. Well, now here is entertainment news. Gospel singer Timileyin Ajayi, the suspected murderer of Salome Adaidu, has pleaded not guilty to the killing of the National Youth Service Corps members who died a few weeks ago at his residence. The Nasarawa State Police Command arrested him on January 12 and charged him to court for culpable homicide punishable with death. According to the police, the suspects pleaded not guilty to the killing of Adaidu when he was arraigned before Justice Simeon Apoki at Court 2 in Lafayette Monday. The officer in charge legal of the Nasarawa State Police Command, Stanley Nwaforagu, told newsmen after the court proceeding that despite his plea of not guilty to the charge, the police would continue to follow up on the case until justice is served. On his part, counsel for the defendants, Joseph Tukur, assured him to follow up on the case for his client Ajayi until the law is fulfilled, and while responding to how the case will be proved despite the earlier comments made by his client on the matter. And that's the size of the package in the global news for tonight. Before we go on another look at the major series, well, we told you that police warns hoteliers against harboring criminals. You also heard that federal government blames Niger explosion on illegal stockpiling of explosives. Tinubu government committed to delivering better Nigeria, says Shatima. On business, we told you that market is panic over unstable PMS prices. And on international scene, we told you that Trump stops transgender ideology in military. And on sports, Boniface misses Leverkusen training. While on entertainment, singer Ajayi pleads not guilty over alleged murder. That's it on the global news for today. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can follow us on our social media platforms on X, formerly Twitter, at Atlantic TV Net, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network Program, Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. Remember, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you so much for watching. I am Victor Peter on behalf of Atlantic Television Network Media Team. Good night to you.